the Splinter Cell remake news. It is causing some drama already. Some are saying Splinter Cell's going woke. What is going on? I'll put all the information right here at the beginning of the video so you don't have to go searching for it. These videos are a little bit longer because they are live streams. I'm going to be ending the previous live stream about Modern Warfare 2 cheaters and what was going on there. There was a lot of hullabaloo about that and everything going on with that game, and many people concerned that it is going to really hurt the launch of that game. But I wanted to dive into this Splinter Cell remake news for you, and I'll do this very quick update to kick off the video. This is a Reforge update. The latest Splinter Cell news is causing controversy and drama, even though there's almost no news about the Splinter Cell remake. People are already upset and worried. What does this all mean? I'm going to break it down for you in this very quick update. Be sure to check out Reforge Gaming, where I stream live, and hit subscribe and the bell button on this update channel if you like these quick updates. So xfire.com brings this one to us. Fans have been asking for a continuation or at least a remaster of Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell franchise for some time now, and they're in luck. We have known for quite a while that the original game is being remade. So who is making it? Well, this flagship of the franchise of Ubisoft is well loved by fans, and Ubisoft Toronto is the studio tasked with redevelopment of Splinter Cell. And why are we talking about this going woke and people being angry? Well, there was a new job posting. The new job posting suggests that the game may have several changes to the story to make it fit the current times. That's what has got everybody wound up. So, what will stay the same? The same listing about the job that they need people to come work on the title indicates that the upcoming game will keep, quote, the spirit and themes of the original game while exploring our characters in the world to make them more authentic and believable. The scriptwriter will join, quote, the narrative team and help create a cohesive and compelling narrative experience for a new audience of Splinter Cell fans. Now, the wording that really frustrated people was where they will rewrite the story of Splinter Cell for, quote, modern day audiences. And many people are saying, wait, I don't understand. Why are you rewriting it? Why would you need to do any of that? Fans of the franchise, according to xfire.com, have mixed reactions to the news that Ubisoft is updating the story. Some have pointed out that the developers are mixing up remake and reboot. A remake would be a faithful recreation of the original, while a reboot can take creative liberties to add to the story. Now, it's possible that that's the new direction they're going to take after what happened with The Last of Us remake. Maybe they're saying, hey, let's go a different route here so we don't get a bunch of criticism. Let's call it a reboot. Let's change some of the story elements. Let's adjust the game accordingly, and then we'll change it. We don't know if they're deciding that that's going to be the way they couch this and market it. They haven't said much publicly. According to the Xfire report, some fans are worried the game, which has a heavy political narrative, would be watered down to be acceptable to new players. There are theories that the game is being rewritten for gamers who have not played the original series or were not even born at the time that the first game came out. So the producer has shared some comments about the game. Splinter Cell's producer Matt West stated that while the spirit of the early game remains intact, the game will be updated visually and add some elements to match the, quote, comfort and expectations of current players. I don't know what that means. The comfort. Are they talking about accessibility features, movement features for the controller? We don't know. West has indicated that the plan is for the remake to be linear like the original and not delve into the open world genre that we have been getting in the newer games. West remarks that, quote, every square inch is part of the choice or directly offers a choice or has a direct ramification. The density of gameplay is at the forefront of Splinter Cell, and that's going to be really important to us. There was apparently a Reddit meltdown. There was a subreddit that closed. They didn't close the subreddit. They closed the thread because people were claiming the game's going to go woke. It's going to be terrible. I watched a video by a guy that was like, every game that uses this kind of language has gone down a terrible road. And he wanted examples of games that had used this type of language that had turned out really good. He failed to provide any examples of games that have used this type of verbiage and turned out really bad. He just assumed that they had been. I don't know what games he's talking about. This sounds like the same problem with GTA 6 leaks. Everybody started losing their minds because of one sentence about jokes that they weren't going to tell anymore, and everybody threw challenge flags on the play and started crying about a game going woke. This feels very, very similar. I don't think there's a lot of substance yet, but I do agree, if you're going to reboot it, call it a reboot. Don't call it a remake if you're literally rewriting the story. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Check out Reforge Gaming, where I stream live, and as always, I'll see you in the next video. All right, let's chop this one up, because this one's funny to me because, man, oh man, people are jumping to conclusions almost immediately about the Splinter Cell remake. It's like, I actually agree, changing the story and rewriting the story doesn't sound like a remake to me. It sounds like a reboot. Part of me is like, yeah, a reboot makes more sense anyway, because it's kind of an old game. It's kind of an older title. So why would we not just, you know, reboot it? You know, get a new vantage point, start the franchise over. You know, there's a lot more stealthy games out now, and so you could take the franchise in a new direction. Yo, Train, bringing the wagons home. Train, I know you have memberships on so many of my channels, and it led to some confusion the other night, but we got you straightened out. Now you're tier 2 here, and that's ultimately all you need. Reboot or rebranding, right? Hey, could we get 16 more likes? Those of you that watch me all day, come out of lurk for just a moment. There's over 300 of you here. Do me a favor and smash that like button and get this video cooking. 13-month gang from Chris, hitting a tier 2 as well. That's a great milestone. When we get within 10 of the 100, we want 100 tier 2 members. When we get within 10 of it, I'm going to start uploading content for tier 2 members and above to whet the appetite of folks to jump in the upper pool, because the tier 2 members really benefited on that night. Oh wait, we're at 90 right now. I'm going to start doing it as promised. I am going to start doing it. And the tier 2 members really benefited the other night when we played Call of Duty. They got first dibs on playing. So welcome on in, everybody, and welcome in anybody who has upgraded to tier 2. You'll start getting content just for you, and tier members above will also get it. 30 jumping back in on a 3-month milestone. Thank you so much for being here, 30. Also, the world itself has changed. We face different threats. The OG story doesn't really work for today, says Eugene. Change the parties because of the old political climate. How is this going to go woke? The game was released in 2002 when we had different concerns because of different world events. Yo, a 19-month milestone from a man, Abe. Is this how you do a gifted? Not really, but it works. Welcome back, Abe. Yeah, I wonder if that's what they're going to do. If they're not like, oh, we need to soften up the political messaging or the violence or anything like that. They're like, man, it's a different world now. Like, that story won't make any sense to people. Like, who cares about those things these days? You know what I'm saying? Yo, Pico hits a 17-month milestone. Has it been 13 months already? It's actually been 17, Pico. Sometimes it shows you the wrong milestone. Toasty decides to keep the member train going right now. The top of chat is nothing but members. And one gifted member, and it goes to Michael. Congrats, Michael. And a $5 super chat from James, keeping the little train at the top of chat going. Thank you so much, James, for a $5 tip. Very, very generous. That's how you gift, Abe, says Toasty. This game does not have to reflect the real world. It's a video game. Sven says, I disagree. Splinter Cell is largely grounded in reality. That is one of the challenges of a Tom Clancy game. Keep in mind, it's Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. It's not just Splinter Cell. Tom Clancy games have to kind of be related into current events, geopolitical realities. Those are kind of what the games are based on. Like, you can't just boot up Splinter Cell and be like, what is he going to fight? Aliens? You know what I mean? Dylan with an 8-month milestone. Welcome back. He says, choo choo. I'm not saying that that's what you're saying, Jason, that like, oh, he would fight aliens and turn it into some kind of a frickin' fantasy game. But it does seem a little strange if suddenly Splinter Cell, a Tom Clancy game, wasn't rooted in reality, right? Like, where would he go? Splinter Cell Conviction was the best Splinter Cell game, easy. Why not leave it grounded in historical reality? Especially if you're going to call it a remake, right? This is the concern. So if you're just tuning in, this is the concern that people have. A new job posting found on the Ubisoft website lists that the company is on the lookout for a scriptwriter who will rewrite the story of Splinter Cell for, quote, modern day audiences. And everyone's losing their dadgum minds. They're like, it's gonna go woke, it's gonna be trash. And they made a post on like a PS5 subreddit that got closed. And, apparently the person who closed it went on an absolute tirade, which sort of added gas to the fire instead of actually calming things down. They seemingly escalated things up into insults and, generally just a nasty disposition. However, this reminds me of the GTA 6 situation. It was like they said, hey, for GTA 6, we're not going to do this type of joke or humor anymore, and then it caused everybody to say that the game was already ruined. And people were like, yep, already ruined. The game is ruined at this point. It'll be terrible. And nothing was out yet. We had a job posting. No, we had an interview, actually, about GTA 6. Or it might have been a leak. I can't remember. I think it was a leak and then an interview, kind of combined into one. Andrew Mandrew hit a 4-month milestone, and it's a Tier 2 member. Says we need 10 more Tier 2 members to have 100. I'm going to start uploading that content, though, so I want people to feel that, like, oh, I'm missing out, right? I want you to have some healthy FOMO, because we do create a lot of content for members here. Michael says, thanks to whoever gifted me. Much appreciated. Toasty did it. So wait, says Abe. That's all we know about the game to call it woke trash. Yeah, that's all we know. And here's more. Right here. The listing indicates that the upcoming Splinter Cell game, the Splinter Cell remake, it will keep, quote, this is a direct quote, the spirit and themes of the original game while exploring our characters and the world to make them more authentic and believable. The scriptwriter will join the narrative team and help create a cohesive and compelling narrative experience for a new audience of Splinter Cell fans. I think that's also, people are hearing that and they're like, you're not remaking this for the fans of the franchise. You're trying to target a new audience. I actually don't think that's concerning. That's probably, relatively intelligent to be like, we need new people to like the game. We need new fans. Like, there's nothing alarming or wrong about that, right? I'm a huge fan of stealth action games. Splinter Cell is up there, only rivaled by Metal Gear, says Warpath. I'm not concerned about the reboot or the story change. Just give me some good tactical espionage action. Yeah, I agree, and I do think you need a new audience. As long as you deliver great gameplay, the story can change a little bit. But then I do want to agree with the people that are like, then just call it a reboot, don't call it a remake, right? Great, so Sam Fisher and stealth is staying the same. Right, that's all I need. I need Sam Fisher and I need stealth. But I do agree, because we sat here and defended another remake, and people were like, it's the same story, it's the same characters, and we're like, yeah, that's kind of the definition of a remake. Once you change the story and you change the characters, it's no longer a remake, it's a reboot. So I think they might want to get out in front of that and say, if major story elements change, this should be considered sort of a hybrid remake reboot. We're resetting the story of Sam Fisher. We're resetting the Splinter Cell franchise. The Hunt for Red October was actually a good read. I remember reading that book for the first time back in 2015. Yeah, if Harrison Ford was in that movie as Jack Ryan, he would be in 3 trilogies, because he'd be in the Indiana Jones trilogy, the Star Wars trilogy, and then they could have paired Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, and The Hunt for Red October as a trilogy. That would have been pretty awesome. The Tom Clancy name, because it's Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. It's not just Splinter Cell. You'll notice that on these games. They put that Tom Clancy there, right? That's on all of the... Why can't I do anything to that message? Oh, I see. If you're going to change the original story, then it's not the same game. Just start a brand new story. I think that is the most fair feedback they've received. That's the most fair feedback. Like, if you're going to change the story, why not just call it something else? Just say, hey, we're going to go back to the first game, and we're going to reimagine it and reboot the franchise so that not only can you play a more modern Splinter Cell, so the controls and the stealth and the action can be updated, as well as the graphics, but you can experience a new story as well. We're starting over. Somebody's bringing up diversity dust. How exactly would Splinter Cell sprinkle diversity dust? One of the main characters is black and the other is a woman. Yeah, it's a pretty diverse game already. The guy you're always talking to on comms is a black dude, and then there's like one of the other main characters is a woman. I don't think they'll need to do that at all. They've not said anything about changing the cast. They've talked about the story, writing the story for a more modern audience. This is more suited for a reboot, in my opinion, says Dylan. If they stray too close to the middle between reboot and remake, neither side will be happy. Because something else won't sell as well as Splinter Cell. Well, I do think it makes sense to be a little suspicious and a little worried when you're like, hey, wait a minute. Are you just kind of borrowing the name? I think that's a fair concern, right? Are you just borrowing the name Splinter Cell? Because if you're just borrowing the name Splinter Cell, then I'm not interested in the game. If you're just going to borrow the name and change everything, I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think that's reading too much into the job listing. There's always some group being underrepresented. I don't buy that. It'll be about hunting this and parents that go to school. Okay, you're gone. The game is super diverse on stuff. If they do things like that, I'll be annoyed. What I expect is changes to the story to be more in line with modern history. That's how I read it. If there's one thing I don't think Ubisoft is going to do, I don't think Ubisoft is going to change the fabric of like what makes Splinter Cell great. Because they want to be like, oh, well, we need to do this or that or the other with the story. I just don't think so. My biggest concern with this title is that Michael Ironside is 70 plus years old, so we will have a different voice actor. Well, if they're considering this a franchise reboot, it might be time for a new voice actor, which I know will be a bummer, but it might be the right call. They're doing the same thing with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Like updating it to be more modern? Is that what you mean? They already had a different voice actor in Blacklist? Are they writing a new story or rewriting the script to update the dialogue but keep the main story elements intact? It says that the spirit and the themes of the original game, they will keep those, but they want it to be more authentic and believable. And so they want to rewrite the story for modern day audiences. Like, it won't be very authentic and believable if you jump into this game and they're talking about things that are 20 years old, right? Like geopolitical realities and ideas and things that were going on 20 years ago. That's not going to really drive the narrative home for most people. They're going to be like, I don't understand what they're talking about. This seems like a step back in time. Now, somebody might say, that's perfectly fine. Just remake the game and keep all those things consistent. But they're saying, no, we want it to be authentic to today. We don't want it to be like stuck back in whenever the first game came out. The original story hits pretty close to some things going on today. I think they're changing the countries up and putting something in that maybe is more relevant, says Eugene. Right. Because you need reference points to modern day for stories like this, I think, sometimes to be more effective. Using the name of the original game but changing the story. Oh, they're using the original name of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, but they're going to change the story. They should just get David Hayter and call it a day. Splinter Cell was released in 2002, so 20 years ago. Oh, well, that's a long time. They have to explain what that means. Like, are they talking about modern day this or just modern day wars? Well, if the spirit and theme is going to stay the same, I can't see how it would not be about espionage and war and black ops and going in and doing things that nobody really is supposed to know about. I don't think that that's going to change. That to me seems like that'll be the game. They're probably just going to change setting, maybe some of the writing to be like, yeah, that doesn't make sense in today. Hey, our first order of coffee from like 7 minutes ago. Dannenheim grabbing 2 bags of light and a bag of dark. Thank you so much. That's our first coffee order of the day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anybody that's new, if you're enjoying the conversation, do me a favor, hit subscribe so you can talk and chat. Man, oh man, we just the updates just keep coming. My entire dashboard just changed on mobile. It looks really nice. I see no problem with updating it. Splinter Cell was released in 2002. Has it been that long since anybody said anything in chat? What is going on? Guys, can we get 60 more likes on the vid? There's no problem with updating it. If they gender or race swap Sam, would he be fine to label it as well? Yeah, you can't really do that. I don't think there's any need to do that. Yeah, if they do that, I think that people would be pretty irritated. Why reboot Splinter Cell and use Sam Fisher if you're going to fundamentally change the character? Like, just start a whole new game. You could literally call it Splinter Cell and just be like, it's a new era of Splinter Cell. And if it's not Sam Fisher, start it over with a new character. You could even say, listen, we want that character and that voice actor to sort of remain immortal in the franchise. And if we can't get that voice actor anymore, it's time for somebody new to pick up the banner of Splinter Cell and carry the franchise forward. I think people would be far more accepting of that, being like, we can't really have Sam Fisher for forever. It's time for someone new. Now, if you go back and remake the original and you swap out Sam Fisher for Samantha Fisher, well, then people have a right to be irritated. They'd be like, what the frick are you doing? Imagine them doing that with Tomb Raider. We're going to remake the original Tomb Raider, and now it's Larry Croft. Like, people would be like, what the frick? Why? That doesn't do anything to the story. It doesn't benefit the story. You're just changing it for no good reason, other than the fact that you just want to do it. Nothing they've said to me indicates that they're going to do that they're going to mess with the original character. Lawrence Croft. Right. I could never beat the game. I always got stuck. Uncharted Raider. Yeah. Please make Sam into Samantha Lamau. People are going to throw a tantrum. I think it'd be terrible optics and terrible for your marketing to change the main character of a game on a remake. Right? Yeah. Larry Croft, Natalie Drake. Let's just go back and remake everything we can and just keep changing the characters. That's not even about it being woke. That's just about it being lazy. It's like, you're not doing anything. You're just trying to be lazy. You're grabbing existing franchises and stories. I don't think anybody's going to do that. I think a video game company that goes back and grabs an original story and just changes the character to a woman instead, I don't think that would work. I think people would almost wholeheartedly reject that. They would say no. I think they would say no to it. They would say, nah, man, I don't want to play that game. Splinter Cell Remake, that's not gonna do it. Can you see today's video? I can't save it. Hang on a second. I'll have to switch and check it out. If you guys think they're going to do that, I don't. I don't see any signs pointing to that. I don't see any signs pointing to them, suddenly changing Sam Fisher. I do. I see it. I see that it's scheduled. I see that it's monetized. Yeah. Let me check the description to make sure everything in here is good. No. Game description, not there. No, you've got a bunch of timestamps with nothing. It's got Reforge Radio in the filler text. Yeah, it's not saving any of your stuff. Yeah. So it's there. It's there, creature, but you said not out loud, but how in the world was I supposed to answer this without talking to you? Yeah, it's there, but it's just not saving any of your stuff. I think he will 100% be generic in the remake. I think he'll just be the same character. All remakes update the story for today's audience, mostly for context. That's not true. What are you talking about? They didn't... No, that's not true. All remakes do not update the story for today's audience, mostly for context. In the most handful of recent remakes, they've not changed the stories for today's audience. They didn't do that with The Last of Us. Creature, can you copy paste the description? Let me see if I can do it. Give me your body and your tags and everything. Let me see if I can do it for you. Oh, for movies. Oh. Yeah, I'll give you that one, Robert. Oh my word. Okay, hang on. I'm trying. Okay, I got it saved. I got it saved. Now I just need your tags. Don't worry about all that. Just give me your tags. Yeah, you can go and delete all of the... Mm-hmm. Sorry, chat. YouTube's being weird. Oh, your tags are there. Your tags are good. All right, let me check monetization. And you got one mid-roll. There you go. Everything's good. Everything's good. Everything's saved. I don't know what's going on, but we got it. You're dying for a BioShock remake? Just get Christopher Judge as the new Sam Fisher voice and call it a day. I don't think that would work. Just be grateful that the stream is still up. We can deal with a little weirdness in video descriptions. Oh, that's not what we're talking about, Abe. Creature's trying to get a reaction video scheduled, and it wasn't saving any of his work, so I had to go in and do it. YouTube's freaking out. Major UI changes, but it's freaking out. Yeah. I got a really nice UI update on the Studio app. Is there a Splinter Cell remake? Because it's one of my favorite games. So just to catch you guys up, the Splinter Cell remake news is that, yes, Ubisoft Montreal has been tasked with making the remake of Splinter Cell. People are concerned, and there's already drama circling, because there is a job posting, and people are saying, hey, why are you rewriting the story? So they made it clear on a job posting that they will be rewriting the story for a more modern audience, and they want a narrative experience for a new audience of Splinter Cell fans. So people are hearing that, and they're pretty upset. They're like, what are you going to do to the story? Why wouldn't you just call that a reboot, right? Because that's not really a remake if you start changing fundamental aspects of the story. At one level, I agree with them. I do. At one level, I agree, right? It's like, hey, you're literally going to change a story. So why not just call it a reboot? Why not just start over fresh? People love they love the game, right? They love the game, so rebooting it wouldn't be that upsetting to people. I think people would be excited. They'd be like, yeah, it's time for Splinter Cell to kind of start over, especially since it's a 20-year-old franchise. The Splinter Cell story was pretty good. I can see what they're saying. A fourth Echelon origin story would be awesome. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Yeah. I have faith they'll do it justice. They've done Splinter Cell series, Prince of Persia, Rainbow Six series, Far Cry series, Assassin's Creed series, Watch Dogs, Child of Light, Transference, For Honor, and Roller Champions. Oh, Ubisoft Montreal, you're saying has a good track record? A reboot would be awesome, just like the Tomb Raider franchise. That's exactly what I'm saying, Dave. The way they rebooted Tomb Raider was awesome. It was awesome. I like that, Hilly. There's Larry, the Tomb Raider. Have you played the old games? Yeah, I've played all of them. There's one recent one I think I didn't play. I think I played practically all of them, yes. Nuance important here. Depends on what exactly they do and what decisions are made. I don't think we can judge it quite yet. Did you play Blacklist? That might have been the one that I didn't play. There was one of the recent ones that I didn't touch. Guys, we're hitting the 30-minute mark. Let's have a nice, strong start. We need 26 more likes. There's a ton of you here. Thank you so much for watching our second stream of the day. That is a reminder, this is our second stream of the day. We already talked about COD, and now we're talking about the Splinter Cell remake. And, no, we don't want that. And we really appreciate all the people hitting subscribe, joining in the conversation. We had a little member train right at the beginning of the broadcast. Couple new subscribers. Welcome on in, new subscribers. We appreciate you so much. Welcome. The only Splinter Cell I've played was the original from PS2. Saying it's a remake allows them to dump it if it isn't successful. Oh, right, Sinos. Yeah, if it doesn't do that well, they can be like, yeah, it was just a one-time thing. If it's a reboot, they kind of need it to be great. Splinter Cell and Siphon Filter were great. I didn't play the last one, didn't care when I found out he was disavowed or whatever. Yeah, it felt like it had been done before. It felt really Jack Bauer 24, you know? It's like we've kind of been here before, haven't we? You know? I don't know. Is that a new profile picture? Yeah. Abe has updated his profile picture. He's trying to look fresh. Trying is the key word. Was such a contrived trope. Yeah, it's just been done so many times. Like, you know, Jack Reacher, Jack Bauer. You know, you got to do the single syllable first name. Sam with Jack Reacher, Jack Bauer, Sam Fisher. Like there's a pattern emerging here, right? Jack Ryan. And then James Bond. There we go. James Bond breaks the pattern. Yeah. You got to have single syllable followed by two syllables, and then James Bond breaks that pattern up. We can't come up with a new enemy. Let's disavow him and make the agency the enemy. Yeah. It's happened before. He's a Brit, though. Yeah, a little different. Hey, Lono, why did Hitman games suck now? Hitman 1 and 2 was tight. What happened? I thought the latest Hitman game did very well. I thought the latest Hitman game was very well received and praised by fans of the franchise. And they're doing, like, seasonal content. Oh, Ethan Hunt reverses it. That's true. It is funny, though. The Jack Bauer, Jack Reacher, and Sam Fisher, you know. That is funny when you notice that pattern. But then, yeah, you know, James Bond and Ethan Hunt, they kind of break it. Blacklist was essentially a reboot. Sam was a bit younger than the other games. Sandbox and the Hitbox in the Hitman games was great. Hitman 3 was highly regarded. Yeah, I thought Hitman 3 did very well. Hitman 3 meta. I know Metacritic's harder to trust these days, but if you look at across the board, the Hitman Metacritic, an 8, 80 and an 8. 80 and an 8, 80 and an 8, 80 and an 8. It got great consistent scores from the users and the critics, all platforms. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe you didn't like it, but I'm not saying that means that it's good. I'm just saying it seems like it was pretty well received. My son's name is Jack, and his best friend's name is Bauer. I have fun with that. There's that clothing line, Eddie Bauer, and my friend's last name was Bauer. So we always, you know, tease him about that. And then obviously his last name got a lot cooler when 24 rolled around. Sandbox Hitman was great. Bruce Wayne, yeah, Bruce Wayne breaks it. All right, we need a discussion question. We're 30 minutes in, and we got to have something. Let's talk about this. I'm curious if you guys think remakes are going to start backfiring on devs, right? So you got the Splinter Cell remake. We just had the Last of Us remake. We've seen the remake era in movies and TV shows not go over that well. It's even happening right now with Quantum Leap or whatever it's called. Do you think that the remake era is going to start to snap back on developers and not be good? Is it going to start to backfire, and why? Do you feel yourself gravitating towards supporting remakes? Are you going to buy and play something like Splinter Cell Remake? Right? I just came through. What's happening? Why are we worried? Yo, what's good, Marie? The latest Splinter Cell Remake news is that they want to rewrite the story for modern audiences, and people are worried that doesn't really sound like a remake. That sounds like a reboot, and that's kind of the question. We're getting more and more remakes. It's starting to kind of come to the gaming world. It's come to the film world. It's come to the TV show, world. And now it's coming to gaming. Is it going to start to snap back and cause problems and be negative? And is it something that you feel you're going to support less and less or more and more? Like, where do you land on these games? There's so many good properties tied to PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 and the OG Xbox. Nothing wrong with bringing them to a level that was never imagined possible. Saints Row flop also sold tons, so it didn't really flop. Well, but did it flop though, Sky? Didn't they have plans to, probably do live service and do ongoing, and that's probably not going to happen? A lot of games don't just launch and they're like, oh yeah, we're fine if the game completely crashes and burns. That's not really important to us. Well, it probably is important if they were going for live service ongoing models, if they had plans for seasonal content or cosmetics or DLC or anything like that. More and more, just because a game sells very well on the front end doesn't actually mean it's going to be protected from all the bad that can happen when your game sucks, right? Like, you got to be careful with that. You can't. I don't think commercial sales are a band-aid or a safety net when you a lot of times the monetization and the structure and the revenue and the margins of a game, they need the game to be awesome. Pre-order the Woke Edition for $69.99 or whatever you can afford. Stop it, Hilly. I think EA would remake Battlefield 4. It sounds like it's getting cut. What's this quote? Company's CEO was quick to address the future of the franchise, Saints Row. While it sounds like no decisions have been made yet on what's next for Saints Row, the IP's future does seem uncertain. Quote, I think we need to wait for the quarterly report in November to have more details around this. We're still fairly early in our release window and still collecting data, and there is also bug fixing and more content coming. So, yeah, I mean, just because a game is commercially successful doesn't mean they won't absolutely gut the thing. Can we get 11 more likes on the video? These second streams have really been struggling. They really, really have. And we don't know if it's YouTube or the audience. I can't really tell what's happening. But when we smash a like and we're active and we're supporting, it tends to help. So do what you can. We've been having great treatment on the first stream, and then second stream, I can't do anything after 30 minutes. I don't know what's going on. I don't think we're losing the audience to lunch. I don't buy that theory. We did double talk show all of December and January, and everyone loved it. So I think YouTube's doing something funky, and it might be affecting our second streams for some reason. Occasional remake is fine, but it seems like it's getting excessive, says Charlie. Everyone is trying to cash in again on nostalgia versus betting on a new IP. No one wants a stinker. Right. I mean, publishers are always going to be risk averse. Like, they're not going to back new IPs left and right. They know that's risky. New IPs can crash and burn. Like, Forspoken's going to have a rough go. I'm just going to tell you right now. I think Forspoken's going to have a rough go as a new IP. And that kind of thing discourages companies from doing new IPs. It's tough. It's a tough market to break into. Doctor's Office says, my problem is they keep trying to remake or reboot older TV shows, movies, and video games, but in the process of doing that, they're trying to update them all to be politically correct and ruining them. I've not seen that happen with video games. The one guy that made that video, he said, name a game that's remade itself and tried to be like politically correct and has been a good game, right? And he's like, I'll wait. And I'm like, well, can you list all the games that ruined themselves? What remakes have come out yet that have been so bad? All the Resident Evil remakes? The Last of Us remake? Now, the GTA one was bad because they did a bad job. They didn't do anything to GTA. What was that called? The GTA Collection or whatever the frick it was. Where are all these video games that have remade themselves and have sullied their stories with trying to be virtuous? Like, I really want to know. Can anybody list a single game that's done that? I'm trying to think, because we're right now about to enter into the era of a bunch of new remakes. Yeah, the Final Fantasy VII remake, highly praised and loved by people. For the most part, game remakes have been done pretty well, says Techno. Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, Spyro, Crash, SpongeBob, Demon Souls, T-Lu, right? That's what I'm saying. Where are all these remakes that have ruined themselves with bad story decisions? If you guys are just tuning in, we're talking about the latest Splinter Cell remake news. And are people worried about the remake? Are people worried about remakes in general? I actually think we're about to get into an era of really good remakes, and people are going to poo-poo them, but I bet you they do well. I bet you they're commercially very successful. Can we stop using woke as a catchphrase for stuff that we don't like? Well, I mean, I don't like using it, but there are people that say it. There were videos about this. There's literally a video in my feed right now, Melanie Mac, saying, like, asking the question, is this game going woke? Right? I saw plenty of videos in my feed about this. I YouTubed it. I went and looked. All right, who's talking about the Splinter Cell remake? And I saw woke on probably 3 different thumbnails with a good amount of views. And subreddits, losing their frickin' minds because they want to rewrite the story for a more modern audience, which probably has more to do with the fact that the political climate and the geopolitical realities have changed. So a game from 20 years ago needs to be tweaked a bit. I just feel burnt out on remakes and remasters, says Abe. It seems like way too many in a short amount of time. They are great games, but I'm craving some new IPs. Give me some new experiences. Yeah, I like both, Abe. What's woke mean? What's your definition of woke? I don't even like to have a definition anymore. It's one of those terms that's gone full. It's gone full. It now means nothing, right? It now means nothing. There was a time where it was used positively. Then it became pejorative for people that are so hyper-progressive that they damage the very things they're trying to be, progressive with, which I thought was effective sometimes, right? And now it's like, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's a pejorative by a certain type of content creator to get clicks from a certain demographic that's angry about everything. Like, that's where it's come. It's now a buzzword to throw on your thumbnail and your title because you appeal to the demographic that's going to be like, everything's going woke, and then they'll click on your video and just get more and more angry. Like, I watched a video earlier today, and it was just, the guy was angry, he was being really critical, he's talking about a subreddit meltdown, and I'm like, we know nothing. We know nothing about the game right now. Now, yes, let's use specific terms. If they want to do some kind of cultural virtue grab by swapping characters and putting stuff in the game and, if they start doing that, well, then talk about that. I've been trying to tell people, like, you're going to be a more effective communicator if you talk about, this isn't good storytelling. You swapped out Sam Fisher for Samantha. That just isn't good storytelling. Why even bother? Just reboot the franchise. Like, what would be funny? People would complain, but a lot of us would probably be totally cool if they just decided that the new era of Splinter Cell was going to be the game where you could pick a guy or a girl if you wanted to. You're just this awesome, covert spy, and it's more about it's more about this ongoing experience where you build your own spy. I don't think people would give a rip about that. They would be like, that sounds awesome. I want to do that. Especially if you had online. If you had the online multiplayer, everybody can't run around as Sam Fisher or some faceless spy with a ski mask on, right? I think people would have been totally accepting of that. So if you want to start to put women in the game, I think there's places for, there's room for that, and I think tons of the gaming community would support it, right? I think tons of people would support it. So, but to go back and to grab the original and change Sam to Samantha, I would just call that what it is. That's just bad writing. you're not even doing anything creative. You're grabbing an existing story and making modifications to it. You're basically you're bad at plagiarizing your own work at that point. Like, what if I did that? What if I just grabbed a bunch, like some really great novel, and just gender swapped all the characters? People would be like, well, that's basically plagiarism. It's really bad plagiarism. It's lazy and not creative. You're exactly right. Just because you do it with your own property doesn't suddenly make it not lazy and not garbage, you know? Just because they own Splinter Cell doesn't mean that would be good storytelling. But it's more effective to talk about that and get down into the nuances of like creative storytelling and hijacking an existing character and not doing anything that actually adds depth or meaning to the game. That's more effective than just calling it woke. It would be disrespectful to the original, of course. Just like it would be disrespectful to Tomb Raider to suddenly change Laura to Larry. A woman in Splinter Cell. The game's just not made for us. Yeah. Yeah. The target audience defense. I love that defense. Yeah. My wife loved all the Marvel movies and watched them all with me. It's a shame that she didn't realize she wasn't the target audience, you know? Just a shame that we were both able to enjoy all the Marvel movies up to now. It might be an interesting change of pace to play as a female running around stealthy in spandex over male, just saying. Hey, listen. Some people like that, you know. They want their character wearing yoga pants and that, you know, that booty shaking in front of them. I don't typically do that. I almost always play as a man given the choice. I've loved plenty of games where I play as a woman, but I've never been like, oh, I can create a character. That's what I want. You know what I mean? I want to play as some, you know, buxom petite thing running around. I've never been too keen on that, you know. That's just, I don't care about that. Some people like to do that. They like to weave eye candy into their game, you know. Yeah, good for you. I don't. That's just never been my jam, you know. Splinter Cell, just a Black Ops program. Anyone could be introduced into it. That's what I mean. You could reboot the story and you could throw a woman in as the main character. I think they'd probably be more effective. Like, my advice to them would be like, let people choose between. Right? Let them choose between a guy and a girl. I think that'd be more effective than just suddenly being like, yeah, you play Splinter Cell as a woman now. Right? Like, if you're thinking from a marketing standpoint, if you're thinking from the standpoint of, you know, what's going to get people in the game, you don't want to create an immediate barrier. You know, a 20-year franchise that centers around Sam Fisher suddenly being like, yeah, the latest Splinter Cell. I'm not even talking about the remake. I'm just saying, if they were suddenly trying to get the franchise to have new life, that's not the way to do it. That wouldn't be like, oh, we're finally going to do a new Tomb Raider after all these years and you play as a dude. People would be like, what the frick, why? They'd be like, why would you do that? Now, if you wanted to make an ongoing, more open, more free Tomb Raider experience, and Lara Croft was like an NPC, and you could play as a guy or a girl, I think that'd be totally fine. Just like in Splinter Cell, if you want to like shelve Sam Fisher and be like, listen, we can't get the voice actor for forever. It's time for a new era. It's time for new Spies. That I think is a completely legitimate way to do it. You would basically say, hey, you can play as a guy or a girl. I think that would be completely and totally fine. A male Tomb Raider like Nathan Drake. Yeah. All three of my D2 characters are female because I think female character models and armor looks better. Yeah, some people do that. They think the smaller character models look better for the armor and the cosmetics. For sure. You know, it just depends. Tomb Raider as a dude called Indiana Jones. Get it right? That's right. The cat suit's extra. Talk about causing controversy. Samantha Fisher running around in a cat suit. You know what happened there? If you did that, if you made a Splinter Cell game and it was just like a chick, you know, in like a cat suit, people were like, why didn't you just make a Catwoman game? You'd have had a lot more brand loyalty to Catwoman, you know, than Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell, people don't want to be Catwoman. They want to be Sam Fisher. What game was that? Outriders had better female armor. Yeah, I've heard that before in some games. People like to choose the smaller framed characters because they feel like the armor looks better. Hilly says, the trouble now is if you try to point out bad writing in the new story, you get thrown into the pile of anti-woke trash. They remake stuff, and the moment the core fan base doesn't like a change, and it gets spun up with anti-fans and generally disagreeable people. Right, you create your own armor of, oh, well, these people are only criticizing it because they're hateful. And you're like, no, I'm criticizing it because I think you made some dumb decisions. Like, I'm not hateful. I'm not being hateful. What the frick's going on, right? Like, I think there's plenty to be said. Insomniac says, I was trying to gift 200 members today. I kept getting this error. I'll try to get it all set up by this week's end. Just wanted to know what was going on. Oh, so Insomniac was trying. Yeah, it looks like it's pulling some kind of an error. Yeah, your transaction can't be completed. Is anybody else struggling to gift members today? I'm not like trolling. I'm not like trying to get people to gift members. Let's see if we can't get a second wind. I didn't ping Discord and I did not tweet. Let me ping Discord with an announcement. Oh, I didn't even ping Discord about this morning. There you go. 9 months for Helix Music. That's a 9-month milestone. Yo, haven't been able to catch streams lately. Just got hired onto the railroad, so I've sold my soul to the rail, but the membership will stay. Hey, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'd be down for Catwoman. Gotham Knights already close to that. Yeah, my worry about Gotham Knights is that it's not even going to feel like a Gotham. It's not even going to feel like a superhero game, but that's a side issue. I don't want to go down that road. Splinter Cell Remake Drama Live. Let's see if we can't get some second win for this stream by let's send out our tweets. We didn't send out our tweets. We didn't hit Discord. Let's do all the things. What are you going to do if you got like 20 mil from streaming? What if I suddenly had like $20 million from streaming? I have a whole host of things I would do. I would take care of my kids first and then spread out to immediate family and friends. Are you kidding me? That kind of wealth? That's tectonic. That's like generationally affecting. You know what I mean? Don't forget to send your tweets. Thank you. This is Larry Croft. Yeah, there you go. Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider. Yeah, I'd take care of Creature, you know. That's so impactful. Like you can't even think like that. You know what I mean? You can't even think like that. Like, what would you do with 20 mil? Like, what? You would literally be able to take care of every person that you know, practically. Anybody that's even close to you in a relationship, you'd be able to take care of them. Because you'd properly set it up to make money off of it over time. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't be able to do it necessarily right away, but you properly invested, you could basically make sure you take care of anybody you know over time. Send my resume ASAP. Side note, check out the teaser trailer. I'll have to check it out later, Mick. It's from the game called Breathage. They had game carts which ripped off franchises. Such a funny game. Well, the key would be building, not giving. Yeah, you would set things up to take care of people. You wouldn't be like, oh, I'm just going to start throwing the money around like Johnny Appleseed. You know what I'm saying? That would not be the goal. No. I had a great comment to make, but it was for the old stream. I didn't know it finished. Oh, sorry. They're always quick to give, and then rut-row. Yeah. If you guys are enjoying the show, do me a favor. We are close to that first hour of the broadcast, so make sure you've done all the ritualistic things. Switch to live chat. Let me know what you think about the Splinter Cell remake news. And this is a good question for discussion, since we're nearing that 1 hour mark. Would you prefer a remake of the first Splinter Cell? So do you want the Splinter Cell remake? Or would you have just wanted a brand new title? A brand new Splinter Cell, new era, a new game, new mechanics. It doesn't even have to be Sam Fisher necessarily. It could be some of the things that we've talked about. Given the choice between Splinter Cell remake and a new game, which would you choose? Let's actually use that as a poll. We don't do polls all that often. Maybe that'll help us here. Which would you prefer? Splinter Cell remake, brand new Splinter Cell game. Right? Brand new Splinter... Well, I'll just put brand new Splinter Cell. Do you want a Splinter Cell remake or do you want a brand new Splinter Cell? You got to cast your vote on the poll. Let's see where everybody lands on this one. It can live in the Splinter Cell universe, just make it a good story. I don't give a blank who the playable character is, said Sven. Remake but make it bigger, says Randall. It's tough for me. I don't play most of them. Brand new IP. We played it already, says Ian. Splinter Cell PvP, first-person shooter. No, they did PvP in the one game, and people tended to like it. It wasn't for. They didn't set it up as a first-person shooter. Remakes are dead. Remake or a modern remake? A remake, yes. Modern remake, heck no. OG Boxer, what do you mean by modern remake? You don't want the graphics updated, or you're worried about like them changing the story and hurting it? Give me a good stealth game and I'm happy. PvP was skill based. Yeah, I remember watching my buddy play the PvP. I remember playing it myself. It was pretty good. It was pretty intense. It was fun. I hated how dudes would like talk in your ear when they were like suffocating you. That was the worst. Like they gave you proximity chat, but it was only when someone was like choking you out. Like they got the jump on you and they're like choking you out. Oh, you don't want them to make story changes, says OG Boxer. So you just want a pure remake. Like you're okay with them updating graphics and all of that. I mean, they kind of have to do that in order for it to be qualified or classified as a remake. I don't care about what characters they put in the game, says Distorted, as long as they don't make a war game about these social issues, then I'm fine. I get enough of that crap in all my other media. And it's usually bad faith in the other medias. Yeah, I just don't get the vibe that that's what they're going to be doing with this game. That's not the vibe that I get. It's not like, oh yeah, we're just going to totally virtue grab. It sounds like it's a 20-year-old game and the political realities just don't line up. Like they have to... They're going to have to make story adjustments for it to feel like it makes sense. How do you make a war game about that? That's what I mean. I don't even know how you would make a war game or an espionage game or a spy game like that. Like, what would you even do? You like that, big boy? You like my hands around your neck? He said in a soft whisper. Yeah, it was so irritating. They'd be like, gotcha. Do you like that? And they'd be saying all this crap in your ear. Oh, I hated it. I hated it. My friend's brother absolutely loved it. He would give people just the absolute business, and he'd be choking them out and just saying all kind of nonsense. I hated it. I was like, no. I don't want to play this game, It was actually a fun game, too. Splinter Cell PvP, what game was that where it was like one of the maps? It was there was like a train. You were like in like a train warehouse. There was like a train in the middle, and there were some staircases in some upper areas. One team had to be kind of slow and methodical. The other team could do a little bit more. I don't remember which game that was. It was where they used the green eyes and the red eyes. Like the 3 green eyes for the night vision. In a lot of the marketing, they had green and red, like masks. Like the lights. Have to update all the tech too? Well, yeah, I mean, they might update the tech. The tech was pretty advanced. I mean, a lot of the stuff he's using in the very first Splinter Cell game, a lot of the stuff he's using would feel like modern day interpretations of future tech and future, weapons and stuff. I don't think there'd be any issue with that. I think the The tech would probably be the most transcendent part of the game. The original games were fictional conflicts and political characters. Does it need to make sense in line with the real-world scenarios today? I think sometimes they want that because it's a Tom Clancy game. I think Tom Clancy games like doing that. The gameplay was already dope and ahead of its time. I'm just imagining all of that with a new story and better graphics. Right. Shotgun, I play with the slow team. I wanted Splinter Cell to bleed into Assassin's Creed, TBH. That's what a lot of people thought was going to happen. That, like, fundamentally, Splinter Cell was going to be the culmination of Assassin's Creed. Like, that was what was going to start the organization that sent Sam Fisher out and doing stuff. That there were people that thought they were going to do that. Like, connect the two timelines, Now, right now, the poll is saying that a Splinter Cell remake would not be preferred. Make sure and take the poll at the top of the chat. There's almost 300 people here. Would you prefer a brand new Splinter Cell or a Splinter Cell remake? Which do you think would be the more appealing to you? Good Tom Clancy games are gone forever. Tom Clancy games, bad Rainbow Six Extraction, Ubisoft. If they update this to 1440 flat screen monitor, are they going woke? The CRT monitor in the scene? Yeah. A large audience may not want to play a story based in Baltic states that's centered around genocide. Yeah, just a thought. Yeah, I mean, people might be like, yeah, this is a little too close to home. It's kind of dark, man. There's some real stuff going on. There's some real life terribleness in the world. You need a Dante's Inferno remake. Ghost Recon Wildlands was the last Tom Clancy game that I enjoyed. They haven't tried to make a story-driven Tom Clancy game in a good long while. Yeah, that's for sure. How about a Ghost Recon and Assassin's Creed crossover, just like the 2014 multiplayer third-person Ghost Recon Phantoms with their Assassin's Creed DLC skins? I'd imagine some fun PS5 controller effects with Splinter Cell. Oh, like the lights and the speaker. Yeah. Yeah, you could do some really cool DualSense support for a Splinter Cell remake. You could. Blasting out Rammstein and playing Splinter Cell on original Xbox. Those were the good old days. Ghost Wildlands was fun until Ubisoft effect kicked in and realized how repetitive it was. Splinter Creed. Wildlands and Breakpoint felt very Splinter Cell if you spec'd stealth. So Wildlands and Breakpoint? I felt like those games just did not fare well with people. They just didn't seem to like them. They didn't seem to like them very much. I think you were thinking about the Tom Clancy Phantoms all online multiplayer. No, it was a Splinter Cell game. Hang on. Are you the Splinter Cell PvP was in Spies versus Mercs. They did it in Blacklist, it looks like. Yeah. Spies versus Mercs. You had the red, and the green. Like this was the marketing. They had this in all the marketing. They did stuff like this. It was Blacklist. Yeah. It was the red versus the green. That was the mode where you could like choke people out and like whisper to them. There was a lot to it too. It was really, really involved. Yeah, Spies versus Mercs. That was the mode. Yeah. Something with a vision of tomorrow, more sci-fi would be cool. I mean, if they decided to take the Splinter Cell remake and be like, hey, we're going to go super futuristic, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, the problem is, Hilly, with that marketing, I'm pretty sure that's fan-made. Right? Or was that for the event? Didn't they do some kind of a Splinter Cell event in one of the games? Past Tom Clancy games like Rainbow Six Vegas and Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter boasted immersive cooperative gameplay with compelling stories. Maybe changing the story is a bad idea. Yeah, Sam Fisher was in Wildlands. Yeah, that's what that was from. Splinter Cell roleplay, anyone? Yeah, I can't see doing roleplay. An ongoing live service game where you play as like, I don't know. This is the stuff they pump out now. Those missions were dope. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of that's just this is going to sound weird to say. It's almost like the gamification of games, right? They're gamifying games. Every game is about being a game. Does that make sense? It's not about a particular thing, story, or new idea. It's got to be a game. So they create like imagery and modes and season passes and reason to log in every day. They're gamifying the game. It's not about it being like a good video game anymore. It's, well, we have to have all these gamey things. Do you get what I'm saying? We keep calling it like the mobile gamification of video games. That might make it a little more like readily accessible in your mind to be like, yeah, there's a big difference between a video game that comes out that seems special and unique and has its own identity and something that comes out and is like, we need you to log in every day for this login benefit, and you'll get little sprinkly doos in your bucket, and then you can use that sprinkly doo bucket to buy this fancy schmancy clothing line, and then you're going to be playing against these guys over here, and it's going to be a meat grinder of PvP, and you can get unlocked awards, and I don't know, there's just this, I think maybe it makes more sense to say the mobile gamification of games. Everything's getting that mobile game treatment. Split screen co-op is dead. It makes me sad. Split screen co-op was always under threat, Lewis, because the minute you have stronger consoles, all the developers want to push the console to its breaking point, which means you can't do that twice. Oh, Phantoms was free to play and it was all Mercs versus Spies. Okay. Yeah, split screen was always going to be under threat because every time you're in a new generation of console, they're like, hey, we can do all this really awesome stuff and we can make these graphics super awesome and the console is barely keeping up. And guess what happens when you do that? When you do that, you are setting that game up to never having split screen because the only way you were going to get split screen to work was you got to render everything twice. And if you have to render everything twice, you ain't getting split screen. It's not happening. Publishers are super focused on keeping players in the game because it makes microtransactions more justifiable to the player if they've sunk a ton of time into it. Well, they also want you logging in every day because that makes matchmaking work better. The more often you're in the game, the more often you might buy something. You know, they're playing a numbers game. They want those repeat logins because it looks good to investors and shareholders. Consoles to this day are so focused on graphics too much over frames. Yeah. The minute it was surprising the medium rendered twice. Yeah. Those were contained spaces and stuff, though, Broken Messiah. You know what I mean? You had a lot of pre-contained set pieces and puzzles and stuff. I thought the split screen got some criticism because of performance issues, but maybe I'm remembering a different game. But I think split screen is going to continue to struggle as a feature. I think it's just going to continue to struggle as a feature. Because whenever you got to render stuff twice, man, you are signing up for pain in these games and these funnels where they're pushing the graphics literally as far as they can go. Like they can't push them much farther than they've already gone. They can't. They go to the absolute ceiling of a console's strength, and then people are like, I don't understand why you can't do split screen. It's like, you can't do split screen because the thing's barely running. Like, the game's barely running and maintaining 60 frames per second. How on earth would you do split screen? Like, even Tiny Tina's Wonderlands had performance issues on the Xbox Series X, which is a very, very strong console and shouldn't have any issues. But you're rendering everything twice. I don't know why split screen would be an issue. Looking at the PlayStation 5, they should be fine doing it. I've just explained it like 3 different ways. When you take a game and you take it all the way up to the performance strength of that console, the only way you're going to get split screen to work is you'd have to optimize so that it can render twice. That means you got to take everything down to a point where it's not just, oh, we need it to run. It needs to be able to optimize the free movement of 2 independent players. It needs to do that twice. You can't just simply do that. This is why split screen is likely to vanish, especially in this era, because you're going to see more and more game devs, more and more companies do this. Right? They just push, graphics, 4K, ray tracing, The only way you're going to get split screen to work in those games is they have to literally offer you like a low res, low performance version, so that way they can do it. And a lot of companies aren't going to want to do that. They're going to say no. They're going to like, nope, we want our game to look spectacular, and that looks like trash. The email receipt just came through, and I realized I missed my opportunity to put something funny under the instruction to the merchant, like have Lono kiss each bag of coffee. Yo, Peter, thank you so much for ordering some Reforge roast. That is a best of both worlds combo. Thank you so much, dude. Enjoy the light roast. Enjoy the dark roast. Thank you so much, guys, today for the Reforge roast orders. That's 2 orders, I believe, for the day. Xbox Series X, there's no RT here, just performance quality modes. Both are dynamic 1080. I saw a 90 low on performance mode along with visual downgrades and a 936p minimum on the quality alternative. Neither mode offers frame rates as consistent as we'd like. The performance mode is generally at 60 FPS, though intense scenes and large environments it dips into the 50s. The visual quality mode falls short of 60 more often, struggling in the same spots but dropping somewhat more frequently and more forcefully. Neither option is as smooth as it should be, but I'd certainly prefer the performance mode if given the option. VRR improves both options, of course, but really I do feel like the more consistent performance should be on the table here, even without a display that supports variable refresh. Yeah, that's Deathloop. Like, Deathloop, that's Deathloop's performance on the Series S, and people think Starfield's going to be fine. Like, okay. Dipping below 1080, dipping below dynamic 1080 in a game as graphically basic as Deathloop. My gosh. First cup of Reforge roast today, chef's kiss. Oh, thank you. If you guys have never tried Reforge roast, man, you got to give it a try. It's people in chat will tell you how good it is. That balanced acidity is a selling point. Very smooth, no bitterness. Just got mine. Nice, Infinite. Splinter Cell is more based on reality, where Metal Gear is, Metal Gear. I'm 3 cups in the dark roast today, says Abe. Split screen takes away their subscription money required to play online on consoles. That has no bearing on whether or not you would get split screen in a game. That's no. These are wonderful. Oh, they gave a new batch of gifts. New batch of Last of Us gifts. Sorry. Some large games do frontal-facing cone rendering based on your camera. So with two people that can be looking in two different directions at two different things, you won't be able to do co-op. Right. The way the game is built won't work. And then you also have to add into that all of the games that are, again, they're pushing performance through the roof, right? They're just pushing it through the roof. So I'm saying this as somebody who loves co-op, but that's why I bought a second PS5. You know what I mean? It's like I want to be able to play games with my wife, and I have this sneaking suspicion that more and more of the games that her and I are going to want to play, they're not going to offer split screen. We're going to need two consoles to play them. You know? It's just too demanding. Graphical fidelity goes up, performance struggles or has to stabilize, and then when you ask the console to render everything twice, there's just no way you're going to get good performance. It's very difficult. PS5 is going to run a VR headset that renders 2 times and then also render on the big screen. How is that power not able to run co-op? That's wild to me. Okay. Here's the thing, though. Butters. I don't know the tech behind a VR headset that's rendering everything twice. I feel like that's an oversimplification of what's actually happening, right? I also think as far as running co-op and having two individual people moving different directions and doing different things, I don't think that's an equivalency to the PSVR 2. The fact that people didn't know that was from Alien, well, it's actually from Alien 3, isn't it? Yeah. The one where it gets really, really close to Ripley and she's like freaking out, it's from Alien. It's from Alien 3. Yeah. Orange Box remakes would be awesome. Not to change the subject. Yeah, we're well off the rails. Some topics just don't have legs, and it doesn't help when we don't get new people. Like, it's just like the core audience is like, we need new blood in the water. We need like new folks to jump in midstream and add to the conversation. And I don't know, man. Second streams just aren't doing it. They're just not doing it. I don't know what's going on. Our first streams are stellar, and then the second stream just can't do anything. And so it makes it really, really hard. Like, we literally went 3 hours on the first stream without breaking a sweat. We stayed on subject the entire time. It was great. It was awesome. We get into these second streams, and 40 minutes in, I'm pulling teeth. It's like we can't stay on subject. Because you need those new folks coming in being like, what's going on? Why is this happening? Oh my gosh, I love this game. Hate this game. And it churns up chat. Like, the same people can't stay on Splinter Cell Remake for an hour and 17 minutes. That just isn't reasonable. So, we're well off topic now. Imagine calling split screen niche 10 or 15 years ago. Well, it was different, Robert, when you have to think about consoles and the way they were born. One of the first iterations in the technological realm, one of the first iterations on a console was 4 controllers. That was one of the biggest steps forward. Not only that, the joystick. Right? Nintendo's were the innovators of the joystick. They now have then they had like the 4 ports. And so it makes sense that in the wake of that, that was the expectation. Games had local everything. Because that's how games were born. As games continued to further and further, move away, from that, and were more online or more graphically demanding, well, then local play goes out the window. Just came in. I love Splinter Cell. I still remember when I played Chaos Theory demo from the Xbox magazine. Mind blown. Right? Like, I've always loved Splinter Cell. I remember playing it back in the day. I remember my friend Mike telling me about it. He's like, you got to get this game, dude. Sam Fisher's so awesome. And I remember getting and just absolutely loving it. And I don't think Robert's saying, why is Sam Fisher an SJW? He's not. I don't know why you're saying that. What do you want, a remake or a reboot? So if I was choosing, if you guys haven't taken the poll at the top of the chat, it's saying which would you prefer, a Splinter Cell remake or a brand new Splinter Cell? I would either take the brand new Splinter Cell or a reboot. I think a remake is just, at this point, it's like, is it a game that really needs that? When you go back and you think about Splinter Cell, does Splinter Cell sort of demand a remake? I don't think it does. I don't think it does. I think it's going to 100% make a lot of people say, man, why didn't you guys just do a brand new game? Or why didn't you guys just do a reboot? Like, I think that's the real danger, is that people will play the game and say, I don't understand why you guys did this. This doesn't make any sense. Games did not have everything done back in the day. Now pretty much all of gaming has been done in AAA. And if it's not there, it's an indie. They're jumping on the GoldenEye bandwagon. Yeah, but even that, like, do you honestly think the commercial success of that GoldenEye reboot, remake, whatever? Like, I don't know. I love the old school Splinter Cell games. I like so many, I killed so many light bulbs. Yeah. You, like, take out the light bulbs. Oh, no! My favorite in those games was, like, the NPCs would respond in, like, the funniest ways. Like, light bulbs don't just randomly explode, you know? What's happening over here? Who turned out the lights? You know? And you're like, bro, that light bulb just exploded. Glasses all over the floor. I was excited about the Splinter Cell project. I like Splinter Cell, but they canned what I was looking forward to. Oh, what was the Splinter Cell project? I just remembered about the wire you had to choke people out. It was a great game, but I don't think it needs changing just a remaster. Spy vs. Merc was life. Good old OG days. Yeah, I had a friend that loved the Spy vs. Mercs thing. Yeah. The light dark mechanics were great. I don't want them to keep that in the new game. Can we get a next gen Perfect Dark? See, sometimes I think people look back on those games and you think if they made like a next gen Perfect Dark, like, I'll be honest with you, I don't think it would be that good. I think we would be like, yeah, this isn't that great. Like, my personal opinion on a lot of those things is I think a lot of people are commonly like looking at a game and thinking it's going to be something that it isn't. They remember it as this stellar experience, and the truth is, it was at the time. But you go back and play, like, I'll even say it, this GoldenEye remake, remaster thing that they did, I don't think people are going to like it for very long. Like, I think you'll play it, and I think literally the completion percentages of the game will be super low. Unless it's super fast, which I guess it kind of will be, right? You know, because people will automatically be like, oh, it's a pretty short story. It's pretty quickly dealt with, right? I don't know. I feel like a lot of people will be like, yeah, this was cool for like an afternoon. You know, not going to be a whole lot of replays. Not going to be a whole lot of completionist runs. A lot of people are going to play that remake and be like, yeah, the veneer is going to fade very, very quickly. I bet its playtime average is about 20 minutes. Perfect Dark doesn't stand on its own as an IP, as a Perfect Dark game being worked on. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a strong enough title that many people are gonna. I don't think people are gonna care for that long. I really don't. I think a lot of these games, these old games that people they look to and think that they're gonna be super awesome and super enjoyable. I think a lot of them, it's pure nostalgia. And I just think nostalgia fades faster than anything. Like when we were all playing the Modern Warfare 2 beta, we were like, oh, it's awesome, it's so fun, takes me back. The only reason people kept playing is because it was more than that. I got news for you. If you had booted up that beta and it was nothing but classic maps and classic modes from the game, 20 years ago, or however long it's been, it wasn't 20 years ago, it would have been what is that? 13 years ago? Like, if that's all it would have been, was a bunch of classic modes and maps from the original game, I think people would have played for like an afternoon. And I'm like, okay, cool. Been there, done that, played this before. I'm out. And that's where I do think some of the remakes, some of the ways that people approach like the remake, remaster discussion, I think they forget that. That gets lost in the shuffle. It's like, well, it was so fun. It was so great. It's such a classic. It's so amazing. Yeah, no. You're not going to think that after playing it for 20 minutes. You're not. You're gonna probably be bored 30 minutes in. Not every title. I'm not saying that about Splinter Cell, but Siphon Filter Remake would be better than Splinter Cell. Yeah, 30 and So Gaming was here a while ago, and he brought up Siphon Filter. I don't think he said that, but he did. He brought up Siphon Filter. He said that, you know, Splinter Cell and Siphon Filter have always been great games. That was what he said. I think many people probably look back on those titles and think similar things. That one might be a better remake than the other. In the grand scheme of things, when you look back and you're trying to choose a game that you're going to remake, I think some of it is just purely driven by fandom, which is when you get into dangerous territory, because fans are going to be the most defensive and most sort of aggressive. Like, I think that's why the Splinter Cell remake, as soon as they said they were rewriting the story for a modern audience, everybody got worried. Will it have split screen PvP? Oh, the GoldenEye game? I think so. Yeah, because it's not going to be a very graphically demanding game. It'll be pretty basic. Like, it's not going to look like some crazy high definition, you know, super modern shooter. It's not. I don't think the GoldenEye game's going to be that demanding. Could we get 50 more likes on the video? We're trying our best. We're trying our best today. We could probably turn this thing. Let's get 50 more likes. If you've been enjoying the second stream of the day, if you're lurking, remember, this is stream number 2. Do me a favor. Take a vote in the poll in the chat. Would you prefer a Splinter Cell remake or a brand new Splinter Cell game? Cast that vote. And while you're at it, throw a like on the video. How can I like more than once? You can't. If the devs focus on trying to recapture the way that the OG game made people feel by focusing in on those OG feelings and finding modern ways to elicit those emotions, then it will do well, I think. I feel like Ubisoft has taken its time with the new Splinter Cell a new Splinter Cell release because it doesn't fit its current monetization structure like Assassin's Creed does. Especially after the performance from the last game. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder, though, like, do you think they view their games in that way? You know? Well, we can't do anything with this because it's got to fit in the current monetization structure. Or do they try to adapt monetization to the game? I've already hit the like button on this video. And I hit the button when it was at $4.99 this morning on COD. Thank you, Hilly. The GoldenEye game was made back in 2008 for the 360. It just never came out. Oh, wow, really? How great will it be to play split screen on a 50-inch or an 80-inch TV instead of one of those like 19-inch ones? Yeah, those old CR TVs. That one guy set up like a GoldenEye LAN system. And I think the hardest thing, or one of the more challenging aspects of it, was when he had to get the CRTVs and the latency to work properly. It was really interesting. There was a whole article on that. This guy set up he had this whole setup to where you could play GoldenEye. I forget how many TVs he had. First, he had to get his hands on the CRTs, and then he had to figure out latency, with respect to like when you move and shoot, it needed to be like responsive. So It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Traffic from live redirect and premieres. Yeah, that's only showing like that as 6. Yeah, that's still not reading right because it's still talking about like we got to suggest from the Modern Warfare that that's not possible. Do you think new Splinter Cell was done similarly to the Hitman trilogy, and how would it work well? Not sure how that would work without ripping off Hitman. I think Splinter Cell's identity would land perfectly as a game right now. It doesn't need to do anything from other games. It just needs to be the game that it always was. A third person stealth sort of action game. I don't think it needs to change any of that. Obviously make it run better, look better, make it feel fluid and smooth, because those older games are a little more clunky. It's in the Video Game Museum. He had 4 TVs, and the issue was splitting them to give them all their own TV, all with the old TV station equipment. It's awesome, and there is a vid about it. Yeah. That's what he had to do. He had to figure out how to get the 4 quadrants from the split screen, each to their own individual monitor, and then have it not have all this latency and stuff. It was really interesting. GoldenEye's Xbox Remaster is leaked online and is fully playable on PC. Huh. You don't trust UB with the new Splinter Cell? I'd much rather they remake it. So you don't want them to do a new one. You need them to remake it. Huh. All right. We made it an hour and a half. Oh, I'm done. We tried. Chat. It's time to go to members. I can't do it. My brain hurts. We tried. What day is it? I give a topic an hour and a half, and if I can't get it up the hill, I bail on it. It's not worth it. It's too frustrating. We can keep the talk show going in a members-only talk show. We can keep it going. We can continue to have a good time and a good conversation. But I don't want to have... This is just going to devolve into non-Splinter Cell topics because we've run out of gas. And I don't want a VOD to be that. I would rather a VOD be all about the topic and the subject, because we'll get off into TV shows and movies and all these other subjects. I keep having to like I'm like hurting, right? I keep being like, no, get it back on course. Like I'm not letting people talk about other things. And that starts to feel like I'm micromanaging the stream. And that's not enjoyable. Okay. Okay. I'm going to get redirect set up. I'm going to send out the community post. Wish you could throw in more, but I didn't play much Splinter Cell. Some topics just don't have legs, homie, and I used to try to drag it out, and it's just not worth it. It doesn't make for a good show to try to drag a subject beyond where it can go. I thought there'd be more spicy debate surrounding the topic and going woke, but I just don't think people have that strong of opinions yet. It's too new. It could have been spicy. It could have been. A new week and new members, get in here. All right, post that. All right, that just pinged all the channel members. And boom, 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 boom. I just like being more flexible with the day, because it used to be really, really exhausting and really hard when a subject would run out of time and we would feel trapped, like, oh, I got to take this for another hour and a half, because we used to like force every talk show to close to 3 hours. I just don't do that anymore. It's not good for the show, and it certainly isn't good for me. Hang on. I got to disable auto start on this. Yep. Okay, let me turn off auto start YouTube. There we go. This show sucks. Well, you're here, so that must mean you're terrible. Like, man, you gotta be worse than my show. So, I'm sorry that you're such a miserable loser. Sorry about that. Must be a tough life. Okay. A 90-year-old man just fist bumped me. There you go. If you guys are members and redirect commonly doesn't work, just click the link in chat instead of trying to ride the redirect. Okay? Hey, thanks for clicking on this members only stream. It's Monday, and if you're watching this, you might not have been here. They are doing a better job of pinging people when members only content goes live. And you may have gotten gifted member last week. They went kind of crazy. So you might be like, why am I seeing this video? You're a member. So use the links in the description of all of my videos. If you're looking for the Discord, there's a Discord link below, discord.gg/ReforgeTV. It's members only. I'm going to be ending the previous stream about Splinter Cell Remake. We were talking about it. People are worried. It was a pretty good discussion. Probably the first 45 minutes of that stream is really excellent. If you want to go watch it, we had a good back and forth about it. I'm going to end that stream and bring everybody over. And let me make sure and change that thumbnail too.